The man right here, the subject of this specific video, not me, the man on the screen right there. You go, oh, got it. Oh, there it is. That guy right there. Okay. He is the subject of this video. His name is Warren Farrell. Okay. He rose to prominence. You probably heard him spoken about by, if you delve into older media, you probably heard him referenced or even interviewed by the likes of Jordan Peterson. I think he was on Joe Rogan. Okay. Ben Shapiro's talked to him a bunch of times as well. Okay. I've listened to some things that he said as well. He started off his career. Okay. He's been ostracized by his different institutions as well. So he's in good company when it comes to this stuff. He initially wrote the book, Why Women Earn Less. Okay. Because he has daughters and he wanted to figure out, okay, if this gender pay gap thing is real, okay, what can we do about it? What is it? Better try to analyze that. Well, he figured out, all of the common talking points when it comes to debunking the very easily debunked gender pay gap, and then that ended up getting him proto-canceled at the time. Now, this was way back in the cut, like 2014, it might have even been before that, but now he's starting to transition into the fact that, actually, young girls are pretty well taken care of. And young boys are kind of getting left by the wayside, and we need to figure out what to do about this. And I really like his work. He's a very, very good analyzer when it comes to these type of topics. But like in that same group of Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson, okay, while they're really, really good at their specific talking points, when they start to stray in the parts of intersectional relationships, my mistake, no intersectionality, get all that stuff just out of here, just move it, go off to the side. Intersexual relationships, okay, the current state of the 21st century dating market, he just drops it. Just like Peterson, just like Shapiro, just like Rubin, all of the people that are just prominent figures talking about this stuff, they just miss it, okay? It's just boys need to sack up and girls are just perfect the way they are. They miss it because they're still thinking in old order 20th century strategies, and you can't do it. This little device right here, this phone, fucked it up for everybody. It changed the fucking game. That's why your parents might have a successful relationship, but you, me, did that backwards. You, me, it's kind of a fucking minefield out there. And we're, like my parents, knock on wood, successful relationship. They've been together. I'm not even going to put a date on it. I know it. That's their story to tell. Successful relationship, multi-decade relationship. It's a beautiful fucking thing, okay? To find that for myself in this day and age, whoo, buddy, have you seen the modern woman? They fucking suck, okay? I don't know what they have more of, shitty little knacker tattoos or dicks, miles of dick that have run through them. They aren't a bitch you're gonna claim for your own, okay? But yet, they're still in the capacity, the Warren Farrells, the Jordan Peterson types, that you can still, okay, grow up, okay, you can marry your high school sweetheart, you can pump out 2.4 kids, live with the white picket fence and the fucking dog, and you can just have a successful life. That shit don't work anymore. That worked for my parents' generation. They were the last of a dying breed, okay, and I love them for that. Just shit has fucking changed, okay? It's just not the way it is anymore, and they can't wrap their head around it. It's just like walking into the same trap every fucking time with these people, okay? I love them for what they do. They just don't get that the fucking game has changed, because yes, they're coming from, unfortunately, the femme-centric ideology that propels society at large, okay? They have daughters. Prominent daughters, okay, that influence a lot of their thinking. Unfortunately, they miss the point, okay, because they see that their daughters, they're probably living their life, okay, appropriately, but you ever talk about a woman and, hey, man, if they're ever just getting out of a breakup or something like that, just ask them, okay, name one thing that you did to lead to the end of the relationship, and name one thing that the guy did to lead to the end of the relationship, and you will find out 9 times out of 10, if not even better than that, okay, that both of those things were realistically something that the man did, okay? There is a thing now. It used to just be a local sexual marketplace. You would meet the guy that you would end up just retiring with, growing old with, and fucking dying with. You would meet them within, 100 miles of your hometown, okay? You would grow up in the same place, you'd get married in the same place, you'd fuck in the same place, you'd give birth in the same place. Now, hot bitches anywhere get flued out to Dubai and turned into a porta potty for $1 million, if you wanted to go that route. Otherwise, you can interact with people all across the country that were never accessible at any point in time throughout the world, okay? A very small percentage of people, your Hollywood starlets, okay? Your music artists, the upper echelon of society, they had access to that dearth of talent that was out there. Now that's accessible to literally everybody, thanks to the phone, thanks to the interconnectivity of the internet, okay? It's a blessing and a curse, and again, it's not something that's factored into the analysis of your old school traditional types. They're really good at what they're doing. I don't want to discount most of the stuff that Warren Farrell's talking about, but he starts to stray into that stuff towards the end of it, and I wanted to preface that with what at least I think that they're missing on this stuff, okay? Because when I first started to read Jordan Peterson's work, I thought that it was just golden, man. It was really good. But when he started to talk about specifically relationships and shit like that, it started to hit a little bit different. It always felt like he was missing something to it, and then it finally started to click. Those type of relationships don't exist en masse anymore. Sure, okay, I could probably go back and take a look at my high school and probably seen a couple of people that started hooking up in high school, and that's the only couple that have ever existed for both of them, and they're probably happy out there. But for the rest of them, the ones that I do know, and I don't know a lot of my high school class at this point, they've run the gamut, as it were. One of them might be divorced by now. I don't even know at this point. But again, enough preamble. I want to get to the good stuff that's right here, because again, he's got it. He's got it when it comes to what's happening with young boys being left behind on this one, okay, by society at large, not just the schools, not just through parenting, not just through single motherhood, okay. Young boys are being treated like shit, and that's been the case for a long fucking time. Fatherless homes linked to mental illness and mass shootings, author Warren Farrell. Abso-fucking-lutely. That is undeniable. Warren Farrell, author of the book, The Boy Crisis, Why Our Boys Are Struggling and What We Can Do About It, has found that being dad deprived is a leading factor in males' increased mental illness, addiction, and suicide. Yeah, like 75% of people in jail grew up in a single parent, single mother, mostly because women initiate 80% of divorces and then get 90% of the custody most of the time, okay? And one final tangent, at least for a little bit right now, okay? Especially with the abortion debate going on right now, a lot of people are like, oh, now the women are being forced to carry, so now men are going to have to step up even more and pay the child support. Yeah, well, if a bitch is just going to keep the kids away from the father, then guess what? Fuck them kids. You aren't letting me see my kids? Well, guess what? Fuck you. You ain't getting a cent from me. Most fathers want to be involved in their kids' lives, but women hold the kids hostage. They get majority custody. All they need to do is just make a couple of spurious fucking claims and they get them wholesale just like that. And fathers got to hop through hoops, and nobody wants to address the fact that family courts are stacked against men. With that aside, we'll get back to this. He links to the mass shootings in 53 developed countries to boys and men who lacked a father figure. Yeah, no, it's an international problem. It's universal, okay? And he specifically mentioned 6 mass shootings that have occurred in the United States in the 21st century. Yeah, no, exactly. All 6 of those mass school shootings that have killed more than 10 people have been done by boys, and all 6 of them have been done by boys who have been dad deprived from Sandy Hook right through the Texas shooting. Yeah, no, exactly. Farrell was referring to the 2012 shooting in Sandy Hook School in Newtown, Connecticut, and the May 24th, 2022, yes, Uvalde shooting. We know all that stuff. I'm glad, and again, this is another reason why I really like Epoch Times. They don't glorify the shooters, because fuck them, rotten hell, okay? I know the Uvalde kid's been turfed, and I think the Sandy Hook one's up on the death sentence or something like that. Or, yeah, looking at it, at least if he's not already dead. He said that girls are growing up in the same environment as boys, with access to the same media, video games, and guns, and dealing with the same mental health issues, but they aren't committing any of the shootings. Yeah, exactly. But you want to take a look at suicide attempts, and women overwhelmingly commit the most suicide attempts. Unfortunately for boys, once again, another win in the column of actually being able to complete the job. And it's kind of a morose way of looking at it, but I don't make any apologies for my jokes. Get fucked. Farrell has made it part of his mission to educate lawmakers that the importance of fathers have in the lives of children, especially young boys. A lot of my fuck shit, or my proclivities to do any sort of fuck shit, have been curved by the fact that my father was like, no, you ain't doing that, okay? I can remember one thing specifically, one thing that immediately springs to mind, okay? Like, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, but again, I just kind of grew into my charisma, right? And it's just kind of how most people mature, right? Men don't really become men until they're 30. And yeah, man, in retrospect, hindsight is always 20/20. Me at 20, okay, was way more advanced than I was at like 15 or anything like that, okay? And me at 25 would take a dump on me at 20, and then me at 30, and then even right now at 32, I'm so much more developed than I was at any point in time. I am not even close to being that same person I was way back in the cut, okay? So yeah, you know, I was making friends with a bunch of other people way back in school. This was probably 7th or 8th grade or something like that. And there was a kid I was a friend adjacent to. Like, we ran in similar circles and all that stuff. And there was just the little youth group that was kicking around here, okay? Now, it was kind of in a dumpier part of town, not too far from where I lived at the time. Okay, and it was just kind of the I'll just cut to the chase. I'll just fucking say it. It was just more or less the degenerate kids that were out there. Like, my would-be friend, yeah, man, he was running in the weird circles, right? Okay, but he was a good dude. We'd have decent conversations in class, and he was like, hey, you should come out over the weekend. We'll go whatever, chill at that youth group place and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, no, that'd be cool. Okay. Then I asked, and my father was like, nope, absolutely not. He was a little bit more colorful than that. Okay. Like, this was whatever, early 2000s and stuff. There was probably some more colorful language on top of that, but I'm sure he probably right there curbed any sort of, fuck shit that was potentially going to happen at the time. He cut it off right there. And without that presence right there, God only knows what sort of direction things would have taken, okay? But I think of that occasionally, and yeah, man, that's just one example of how the father's main job, okay, is to keep their daughters off of a stripper pole and to keep their sons out of jail. And without a father in the home, what tends to happen? Okay. Farrell has made it a part of his mission to educate lawmakers. Anyways, his efforts have resulted in Florida and Kentucky enacting laws that acknowledge the crucial role of the father, especially in case of divorce. And another reason, God bless Ron DeSantis in Florida. And just imagine, man, within a couple of thousand votes, could have had Governor Andrew, I fuck a gay hooker high on meth in a fucking beat down motel Gillum as the governor. Wow. That close. That fucking close. Anyways, Farrell has made it part of his mission. I read that for a third time. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, a single mother living with her child or children is the second most common living arrangement in the United States, a number that has doubled in the past 50 years. Wow, with the expansion of the welfare state, nonetheless. Hey, make housing $6 through Section 8, it's literal fucking pennies, right? And give them all food stamps, okay, and then subsidize for, I'm not entirely sure what the payout per head is, but it's about $800 per month, so a bitch can live high on the hog, okay? All on the government dime, right? Everything is all paid for, right? And then still get alimony and child support from the baby daddy who's not getting those same payouts from the government. It's a totally fucked system. Anyways, as of 2020, 21% of children, about 15.3 million, lived with their mother only, compared to 11%, or 7.6 million, in 1968. Okay, I'm going to out my friends here for a second, but I can think off the top of my head, just even throughout grade school, didn't really become a problem until, probably junior high. I can think of 5 broken homes some of my good friends came from. Actually, all of them. It'd be easier to list you two or three friends that came from good solid homes. Yeah, 3 friends I can immediately think of. Outside of that, yeah, man, everybody was just living with their mom, part-time with their father, okay? Some of them were really successful. One was one of the, he actually had a pretty decent setup, okay? two really good families, okay, helping him out, okay. His mom and his mom's boyfriend at the time, the really good family right there. And then at the other side, his father had a very stable job as well, and then remarried and had a very stable family as well. And he was a very highly touted prospect in sports and a specific endeavor as well, okay. He was going really well. And then I had some other friends who just came from single families who were just potheads, okay. So it just ran the spectrum. And then when it came to, good, solid, intact families, one friend, him, his sibling, and his mother, as his father still has a very successful business as well, all work together in a specific field as well, and they're all very successful at doing that. Congratulations. And then on the other side, a mother and a father at the home, the parents are still great people, and I see them every once in a while, and their only son, my good friend, he was completely virtuous through the years of school, and then he just kind of descended into, drink and drugs throughout, at his 20s and stuff. Maybe he's doing completely well. Haven't talked to him in years, but hey, man, again, runs the spectrum of all this type of stuff, right? So realistically, it comes down to the quality of father. Do you just have a beta who's just there, just, doing the bidding of the overbearing wife? Or do you have that strong masculine father who just maintains frame, okay, and his word is final? That was definitely and still is my father. I respect him tremendously, okay? He's a goof, and now we're at the time, okay, where the power dynamics might be a little bit shifting, but at the end of the day, okay, when it involves family matters, whenever somebody needs to have final say over the family, he might take advice from my mother, might take advice from me, but dad's rule is final, and it's always going to be like that, and I ain't about fucking with that. That's totally fine by me, okay? Florida legislature recently passed HB 7065, which allocated $70 million in funding to provide a wide array of family and youth support through the Department of Juvenile Justice, DJJ, and the Department of Children and Families, DCF. There are more than 18 million children in our country who live without a father in their homes, said Governor Ron DeSantis when he signed the bill into law in April 22nd. This has a severe impact on children and often leads to dropping out of school, crime, and substance abuse. Yeah, exactly. And he didn't even need to write a book about this shit, and he fucking knows it. Incredibly, there are those who diminish the importance of fatherhood and the nuclear family. Black Lives Matter. And will not let that happen in our state. I am proud to say we are doing everything we can to support involved fatherhood in Florida. Exactly. Now tackle the family courts. Just saying. In 2018, Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin, different governor right now, but anyways, signed a bill into law that automatically presumes both parents will share equal custody of children. Why hasn't anybody else adopted that? That's what it should be. Fuck. In the case of divorce, while still providing judges with the discretion. Fuck off. Nope. Family court judges. How do I say this without getting kicked off YouTube? Okay. I'm just trying to think here. How can I make Jews on a cattle car to Auschwitz joke? I think it made itself. Farrell said it's good that Florida and Kentucky have taken these steps, but by and large, the crisis of fatherlessness is still being avoided. Exactly. Farrell mentioned the work of psychologist Richard Warshak, who found that children who spent time with both mothers and fathers after divorce had better outcomes later in life. Like my previous mentioned divorced friend who grew up in a family that was divorced. God, it's so difficult not to just say the name, but whatever, okay? He ended up no longer pursuing that athletic endeavor at one point or another. I forget how that all fell apart, but no, he's got a pretty successful business in the trade, so congratulations with that. He ended up being a success story. As for the rest of my friends, I don't know what the fuck happened to them. Those people can go fuck off for as much as I care. Farrell said Warshak's study found that 100% of academics agreed that children who were raised without a father had the biggest problems. There we go. Yeah, no, exactly. It's pretty fucking simple. It's the one elephant in the room that family courts and Democrats don't want to acknowledge, okay? For fuck's sake, it's the easiest solution. The nuclear family works. It's always worked. It has worked regardless of culture, regardless of state, okay? You have a family that's intact. You have a family that's working together, okay? They're going to produce a more successful kid, okay? Women, you're really good at a bunch of things. I can't list any of them, but you're really good at a bunch of things. Raising a kid by yourself is not on that list. Sorry. And you know what's weird about this stuff? The science is kind of out whether or not a single father can successfully raise a kid because it happens so fucking infrequently. But so far, the studies point that, yeah, man, maybe a single father's better than a single mother, but still, it's not the ideal situation. Farrell said he served on the board of National Organization of Women, yes, in New York City. Like, this dude was a feminist. I think he'd still probably consider himself a feminist, but that's some weak shit. Anyways, and has spoken all around the world about women's issues. So he tends to be in line with democratic thinking on such issues, which is now burn the nuclear family. The government has become your daddy. That's what it is, right? Pop out a kid. Kick that bum, he ain't shit. Kick him to the curb, okay? We got you covered, okay? We'll put you up in a house. It's not that great. It's kind of in a shitty part of town, but don't worry. Continue to vote for us. Otherwise, you ain't getting your food stamps. And Section 8, the Republicans are just going to come and bulldoze everybody's homes because they hate the lower class, even though Democrats just fucking exploit it. He went to Iowa during the 2020 presidential election to speak with Democratic candidates who all just, turned their nose up? Anyways, said candidates both John Hickenlooper and Andrew Yang. Fuck Andrew Yang in the mouth. Both agreed with him, the epidemic of fatherlessness. I can't remember. Hickenlooper. God, he was out quick, wasn't he? And Andrew Yang, yeah, he folded like a cheap suit. The fucking sellout bitch. Their campaign managers, when they started to see that their candidates were agreeing with me, both their campaign managers came up to me and said, Warren, we can't afford to have our candidates speak about the importance of boys having fathers and a lot of father involvement because we're afraid to alienate our feminist base. Yeah, no shit. Exactly. And that's why whenever anything's going to come out in regards to Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, I'm going to continue to talk about it because that right there was an important moment of realizing that, yes, men's issues matter, okay? They really fucking matter, okay? The men's right movement, okay, it's basically dead, okay? But you can still take the talking points that were from there. And the fact that it didn't really have one central figure hoisting up their movement, that was probably the downfall from there. But if everybody starts to realize that, yeah, man, you can't just believe all women and men actually face quite a bit of problem themselves, maybe, you know what, hey, maybe the wheels can start turning and maybe we can course correct on some of this shit as well. And that just puts you right there on Front Street. The Democrats don't care about that. They just want everybody on government tit. That's it at the end of the day. Why would you want to alienate our feminist base? Because you know that, hey, man, they're just going to be stuck on big pharma, okay? Because 40-year-old single, childless, cat-filled, piss-stinking women, okay? They're going to be stuck on social media, okay, retweeting all of their favorite Democratic congressmen, okay? Oh my God, look at how stunning and brave AOC is, okay? I have never seen an article from a spinster old feminist. I've seen a lot of different articles from feminists who have reached or getting towards the end of their life being like, I regret all of my life choices. All of this was a fucking lie. I want to cut that stuff off because, yeah, I'm hard on women. I'm hard on men as well, okay? Men need to find purpose and authority. Women need to stop being fucking lied to and stop taking the obvious, easy way out, okay? OnlyFans, Instagram, okay, dressing like a thought, getting those shitty fucking tattoos. Embrace femininity, okay? And men embrace masculinity. There's no crossover between the two. Men don't embrace their feelings, and women don't be a strong boss bitch. It's pretty fucking simple. You've been lied to by society. It's time to realize, start looking around. Boy, shit's fucked up. Why is that? Because we fucked around with sexual energy for far too fucking long. And smarter motherfuckers than me have been pointing this out for a long time, but now it's at least starting to get some sort of traction. I'm just happy to be around for it. This was not a surprise to Farrell, talking about Democrats, by the way. Having worked with leadership roles in feminist organizations, had seen this type of thinking and the marginalizing of fathers before. These organizations do not put interest in children first, but rather the mother, Farrell said. Yeah, no, exactly, because it's easier to control the mother, who will therefore just tell their children that Republicans are bad because Democrats are paying for everything, even though they're not really helping you move up anywhere, but whatever. So after the divorce, all right, Farrell said children do better after divorce when they spend an equal amount of time with both mother and father, and especially when there is communication and balanced input from both parents. Yeah, no, exactly. Nobody's undercutting one another. Because, okay, that's another one of those toxic things that's out there. Legitimately toxic, not like toxic masculinity. This asshole's been talking about. Get fucked. You'd only wish I'd do it. But anyways, no, if the kid lives in a traditional divorced relationship, okay, where primary custody is given by the mother who has the kid for what? Yeah, weekdays and every other weekend and half of the holidays. And you got the stepmom, or you got the mom there saying that, oh yeah, your father ain't shit. He used to beat me, and he used to just make up all of this fantastical stuff as well. Okay, like even if that was the case, and the father still wants to be involved with the kid's life, as long as the father isn't doing any fucked shit, okay, you shouldn't be cutting him down. Same thing goes for the father as well. Equal time spent with the father. Even if the mother was doing some fuck shit, like being some side bitch out there, okay? Cutting down his masculinity, constantly challenging him, okay? That's within a woman's nature. Not the cheating part, that's haram. No, he shouldn't be undercutting the mom either, okay? The child should grow up in reverence of their parents, okay? Should respect them both, and they shouldn't be, propagandized by either party, who's obviously going to have their own biases because their, relationship fell apart, if there even was beforehand. Because we're talking about divorced relationships here, as opposed to like a baby daddy type situation, which is obviously, well, and honestly becoming far more popular and far more prevalent because nobody's getting fucking married anymore. Oh, divorce rates are plummeting. Yeah, we'll take a look at how many people are getting fucking married in today's day and age, because people are starting to realize that that's kind of an unconscionable contract that I don't want to fucking get involved with. These trifling hoes out here. But anyways, each parent brings strength in raising the family. Mothers tend to set boundaries and praise their children, while dads enforce boundaries and allow children to take risks, said Farrell. Yeah, no, exactly. He's the expert on this stuff, and I don't see anything wrong with that. In the enforcement of boundaries, dad build the discipline for the child to accomplish the postponed gratification and focus on the attention to detail. Yep, no, exactly. Children raised predominantly by dads are far less likely to have ADHD because they're required to focus on the actual thing that they're doing. Hey, yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Like, both of my parents were incredibly involved in my development, and while I'll joke about having the tism or something like that, where if I sit down and I do my research for today for cutting any of the videos, I could cut anywhere between, if I find enough articles or anything like that, I might just backlog like 3, 4, 5, 6 videos if I want. Like, there's some days where I've recorded 12 videos. I've worked from like 2 o'clock in the afternoon until 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, it's nothing. If I want to do something, I'm going to do it. If there's something on the table to do, I will fucking do it. And that's because a strong work ethic was installed by my father and fostered by my mother, okay? Successful parenting breeds successful children. It's not rocket science. The boys that committed these mass shootings at schools suffered from not having a caring, strong male role model. In addition to that, boys are often told their feelings don't matter, which leads to the emotional toxicity. Yes, emotional damage. And again, these caretakers at school, right? Your teachers, your activists, whatever the fuck you want to call them at this point, the counselors that are there, which have little, their experience amounts to, well, I counseled my friend going through a breakup once. And it's like, okay, great, wonderful. They all think that boys are defective girls when they're growing up. It's like, oh, you're sad, why aren't you crying? Well, most men, the way that they process negative stimuli is by immediately responding, if they elicit an emotional response, with anger, okay? That's why if I'm pissed off at something, or if any man in your life has ever been pissed off at something, they're likely to either yell or punch a wall, or hopefully not punch you, because, you know, that can lash out irrationally as well if not properly curtailed at certain points or another. But if you're excessively heated, yeah, you're going to rant, you're going to raise your voice, okay? You're going to be angry. That's the way that men express anger. As for women, how they express anger, it's a lot of tears are involved, okay? That's the way that they do it immediately. But you know what? Hey, there are 3 different ways, okay? Whenever a stimuli comes to a man or to a woman, okay, there's 3 different processes that get run down, okay? It's your instinctual response, your emotional response, and your rational response, okay? This is all backed up by science, by the way. You can take a look at it as well. How men respond to this stuff is the way that they do it, their instinctual result. If somebody throws something at you, okay, a man's just gonna get the fuck out of the way, okay? And then if they get hit in the face with it, they're going to figure out, where did that come from? Who threw it? Or how did it get into my face? And then their emotional response after that. That's the way, and the emotional response is only there if they can figure out what the fuck is going on to begin with, okay? Like if it's a joke, if it's a snowball to the back of the head and it's like, oh fuck, I guess now we're engaging in a snowball fight. That's the way that we're going to be doing this. All right, sweet, wonderful, fantastic. Or if it's a rock to the back of the head, I guess it's time to engage that fight or flight moment. That's the way that men process the stimuli. As for women, going to the other side, the instinct, okay, reacting to the stimuli, and then guess what? It's the emotional response. So again, that same situation. Something gets thrown at a girl, hits her in the back of the head. Oh, what happened? Why did you do that? A lot of tears, a lot of emotion on top of that. And then it's figuring out how something happens. I just work here. I just report the fucking facts. What do you do with them? That's totally up to you, okay? That's just reality. So with that in mind, when you have these activist teachers out there that just think, boys, the response is all they do is just get angry and that's just toxic. You shouldn't express it that way. You should just be more in touch with your feelings. You need to be more emotionally vulnerable, which is what you're going to hear from the modern woman, which is why they fucking suck. Why aren't you so in touch with your feelings? It's because if I ever show you an emotional response, you're just going to think I'm a bitch at one point or another and then bring it up in a conversation later. And you're going to think of me as less of a man and less masculine, even in your subconscious. It'll trickle in, trust me. They fucking never cry in front of a woman, point being. But yeah, if guys don't start crying after something bad happens to them, oh, there's something wrong with you. What's wrong with you? Here's some pills. That's what happens instead of fostering healthy male emotions, okay? Because most of the time something happens, you know what? Hey, again, another perfect example, okay? When guys have a disagreement, they'll yell at each other and then they'll be done with it. And guys can still continue to go on and be friends, okay? If it needs to escalate from there, they'll throw some hands and then they can still be friends after that, okay? But when women fight, do I even need to finish that? Do you guys already know? Exactly. Men can have lifelong friends. Women have season-long friends, all right? Boys who are fatherless, very frequently, they are not likely to have that postponed gratification that emanates from boundary enforcement. Therefore, they are not doing as well in schools. They're not sending their best, as it were. He said that he's talked to boys in high school, and boys said that what they learn about in school when it comes to male-female issues is toxic masculinity, without any understanding that sacrifices that males have led to to toxicity, as well as the concept of the patriarchy, said Farrell, again, which is just nebulous fucking nonsense. And by the way, I don't know where the fuck this is, and they just picked the two, those are the two best looking feminists that I've ever seen turn up at a rally, bar none, okay? So this was a photo op, if we're being completely honest, because we know what the modern feminist looks like. Anyways, Farrell said boys are suffering because they're being told that their masculinity is bad. Yeah, no, exactly. Thanks. And again, whenever I reference this stuff, Farrell's work is pretty foundational to figuring out and properly articulating these thoughts. So they shouldn't sound unfamiliar in some form or fashion. The world is not dominated by a patriarchy. It is dominated by their need to survive, and in order to survive, both males and females were restricted in their roles. Exactly, and it worked swimmingly, and it's biological, in fact. Men and women are different. Deal with it. We're better at some things than we are at others. Men and women are better together than we are apart. We are good complements for one another. It doesn't mean that one is better and one is worse. It just means that we're fucking different. We are constantly giving boys a negative image of themselves, and that leading to low self-esteem. That is leading to their needing to they're needing compensations. Yeah, exactly. That's why that's such a problem, That's such a problem. Farrell said that while trying to do good, he also blames himself for not being on the board of directors of the Now. Oh, yes, for 3 years. Where these detrimental feminists' idea hurt the boys. Yeah, exactly, because they have influence over teachers' unions who also form and shape the curriculum. And you already see the decrepit state of the public school system. So again, that's why that's important. And ultimately, girls were spread. Hurt boys and ultimately girls were spread. Yeah, okay. Farrell began his work for equal rights of women because he believed the credo, I am a woman, I am strong, Again, just sound familiar. It's always the same nonsense over and over again. Not to say the women aren't strong. But now he said he doesn't support feminism because the feminist movement has changed to I am woman, I've been wronged. No, I am women, I am superior. All of these activist movements, okay, your gay rights movements, your feminist movements, your other racial movements that are out there, they aren't for equality. Whenever you hear somebody call for equality, what they're really calling for, you take a look at their actions, you take a look at their credos, their manifestos, whatever they're pushing. They're pushing for supremacy. Let's be fucking honest at this point. It's a supremacy movement. It doesn't matter. You can just change a couple of the words. That's what they're after. While they'll call anybody in opposition to them a white supremacist. No, they're the supremacists. Fucking call them as such. Advice for single mothers. Don't be at all. Find some cuck who will be a stepfather for you. Sorry. Farrell advises all single mothers to let the biological father know he is very much needed, and he will respond well. Exactly. Men want to be involved in their children's lives, okay? There's, of course, the examples out there on the spectrum, okay? There's always the outliers that are there, but for an overwhelming majority, guys want to be involved in shaping their child, okay? They don't want little fuck-ups running around, okay? If they have responsibility over that, if they see themselves and their kid, okay, they're going to want to raise the best product possible. It's a fucking fact of life, okay? When you say, I see now the positive value of your roughhousing, you're teasing, you're allowing your son or daughter to take a risk of walking into a lake and maybe getting lost. And what that does, then the dad will say, all right, if I can be appreciated now, I'll be back. Yeah, no, exactly. And why does the woman have specific authority over that situation? Why is that situation arose? Well, it's mostly because of the family court. I didn't anticipate answering my own hypothetical, but we're here. If the biological dad is not able to be involved, incarcerated, Farrell suggests enrolling boys in groups or team sports. Yeah, man, that's another very, very common thing, especially for all you need to do is just turn into like an NBA, NFL, MLB draft, okay? If you see a kid that's up on stage, right, if they aren't immediately thanking their mother and their father for the success and leading them to this situation, I really hope to contribute to this team, whatever, and all that stuff. They're also thanking their coaches or their group group leaders who really helped them get there. Okay, there's always an inspiring story out there to find at just a moment's notice. Okay, that's another thing I can credit for, and probably one of the biggest regrets in my life was not continuing to go forward in either baseball or football, but no, you can't cry over spilt milk. I'm just saying, if I have an opportunity to find a woman worthy enough and create a little offspring, yeah, man, you're gonna bet that we're going to see some 6.5 foot plus mean Neanderthal running up and down the field. You fucking well bet. He advises parents to connect with their children, to listen to them trying to fix their children's problems, and to have family dinner nights free of media so they can participate in these listening skills and deepen the relationship. Empathetic parents who are only empathetic create children who are self-centered. Yeah, very much so. You see that again just carried out all right now. That's the whole participation trophy culture that we're seeing right now carry out, where everybody needs their every whim and desire catered to. And that's also another problem. I know we're talking about everything in this article. It's not even that long of an article, but Christ, I got a lot of shit to say on this issue. Anyways, you have parents now that are getting married. The median age of the first marriage for people is in on or around 29 for a woman and 30 for a man, okay? And then you wait a couple of years to have your first kid off of that, and then, yeah, you start to realize that biology is a real thing, and then maybe you only crank out one kid when you had the desire to have a much larger family than that, or you just have a couple, and then you raise your kids with, you know, bumpers on the side so that they never experience any harm or any sort of danger or anything like that. And then of course you have a modern father who is just a weak cuck who just sits off on the side and holds the mother's hand while she gets rammed by Jerome. But yeah, instead of just instinctually, and this is always what you wanted, right? Instead of making sure that your kid doesn't die or suffer any sort of serious harm, you're overly protected, ergo the helicopter parenting strategy. You probably heard that as well, where you're just always making sure you're just micromanaging your kid's every move, okay? As opposed to, just take a look at a couple of generations ago. Like, my father comes from a very large family, okay? And they were, lived on a farm. They were throwing pitchforks and, fighting all the time. And hey, man, they grew up tough. They grew up rumble, but they grew up like men. So And his parents, well, they were there. The father was mostly just off working a lot, but they had their boundaries. They knew how to stay in line with all of that. So there wasn't too much of an empathetic culture. You can just leave it at that. Based on his work of counseling couples, Farrell said that listening needs to extend beyond children to the spouse or former spouse so that it's respectful, healthy communication. Yeah, that's why I'll just defer back to my previous statement where you can't be undercutting the opposite, your spouse or your, baby mama or baby daddy to the kid, okay, because that creates that poisons the well when it comes to listening to the kid. And it's like, I'm not listening to you because mom says that you're a liar all the time, or I'm not listening to you, bitch, because dad says you could suck a golf ball through a garden hose. And it's like, okay, you're not helping anything. You're just extending the bickering through a third-party intermediary. Co-parenting couples must realize that no parent intend to harm their child, said Farrell. Adults must learn how to hear those that are not initially inclined to hear and know how to be criticized by people we love without becoming defensive. Yeah, that's a much bigger topic, and I'm looking at the time that we've spent on this video, and yeah, man, if we're going to be extrapolating on the need to hear without being offended, we'll be here for another hour. But long and short of that is, yeah, man, if you're arguing in good faith, it's something that we talked about earlier this week. Don't quote me on the video or something, but if you've been paying attention, you're going to realize, I've used this analogy before. It's like arguing in good faith has just gone out the window when it comes to two opposing sides at this point. You used to be able to discuss issues and just put that in the center of the table and discuss how to best address the situation at hand. Now it's just devolved into ad hominem attacks. It's like, you're just a stupid libtard. You're a maggot. Or, I don't know, it gets more colorful from there, but especially if you find yourself in the situation of a bifurcated household, you have to understand that good faith argument at the middle is a living, breathing human being, and you should be engaging in good faith as to how to parent that individual, because just because your relationship fucked up, okay, doesn't mean that you have to create a little fuck up out there because of that deteriorated situation. Become the opposite of the statistic, okay? A broken home creates a broken kid. No. Two strong, independent homes create a superior offspring. Hopefully we can start to move towards that, but you have one party that desperately wants that deteriorating family structure, and then you got the other one who's just too incompetent to do anything about it. But with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.